Hello again. Optimism, pessimism, and where does realism sit? Now, we'll talk about those things, but what I really want to focus on is something that we call over-optimism. And in case you're a pessimist watching, thinking, there, you see, I told you I was right to be miserable about anything, you're not going to come out too well with this conversation. But let's move on. So, two contexts within which we can look at optimism and pessimism. One is when an event occurs, we can react in an optimistic way or a pessimistic way. And the other is when we're looking forward to something that may or may not happen, we can look forward pessimistically or optimistically. Got it? Okay. So if an event occurs, let's take something really serious, like you get up in the morning and you can't find your left sock. And so what pessimists are inclined to do is adopt what's called a catastrophic explanatory style. Now, it's really important to understand that when an event occurs, you don't react according to the event, you react according to what you tell yourself about the event. So you've lost your left sock, and the pessimist might say, oh, typical, you can never find anything in this house. So what they've done is they've taken a small negative event that isn't really that significant, and they've talked about it as if it's a huge event, a massively significant event, and it always happens and it'll always happen in the future and all this kind of stuff. So you can see right away it's the pessimist that is unrealistic. Now the flip side, this is where you get the over-optimism. There are people who will tell you that if you are a real optimist and you can't find your left sock, you should be thinking something like, well, that's great because now I get an opportunity to sort out my sock drawer. Or that's great because I can get some exercise looking for my sock. You see this kind of pressure to see, well, people say, don't they, every cloud has a silver lining. Well, they don't. Some clouds are just full of clouds. Or smile through adversity. Well, sometimes you just can't do that. And equally, every setback is a learning opportunity. Well, yeah, it is, but sometimes you're so kind of fed up and frustrated about it, it's quite hard to seek a learning opportunity, and sometimes there is no learning opportunity. So that kind of pressure to be over-optimistic in some situations can actually be quite harmful, because when something really bad happens, and it's really bad, it's okay, it's perfectly natural, and it's actually quite releasing to acknowledge that it is really bad, and if you want to huff and puff a bit, well, that's okay. And it can be quite therapeutic, can't it? As long as you don't take it out on someone else, that's a completely different thing. So you can see getting frustrated going is actually realistic and okay. The question is what you do then, see, and that's when the optimism kicks in, because you can say, yeah, but I could do this or I could do that, or I could just forget about it, move on. Those are characteristics of optimism. So let's look at a different situation when you're looking forward to something. Some people, and I've literally heard a mother say this to a daughter, will never assume things are going to happen or go well, because then you'll never be disappointed. Okay, it's like saying never dream. Well, that is kind of reflective of some pessimists because they're afraid of failure. They lack that power, control, and value that we talk about on our workshops. Perfectionists can do this to some extent. If I always assume that nothing will ever be good enough, then I never have to face the risk of saying, yeah, that's really good, and then finding out it's not. Okay, so optimists really are brave. They're brave enough to think, yeah, this will go well. I'm going to assume this is going to go well. And we know the psychology is overwhelming, that if you look at the solution and you focus on the solution rather than the problem, you assume things will go well. You focus on what right would look like rather than what wrong would look like, then your chances of success are vastly increased. And I know I talk about golf from time to time, but if you're a caddy and you're standing on the tee with your golf person that you're caddying for, and there's a lake on the right-hand side, and you say, look, there's a load of danger on the right-hand side, you want to avoid that, they sack you on the spot. They don't want to know about the bad stuff. They want to know about the good stuff. So you're saying, plenty of room out on the left, just hit it out there. Do you see? And that's an optimistic kind of way of looking at the future. You don't have to assume that, yes, gold bars will start raining out of the clouds tomorrow. Now, that's a good point, because you can see sometimes how over-optimism can be dangerous. If you're in a little boat and you're going to row out to sea and look at the weather forecast and you think, oh, that's not looking so good, you don't really want to say, oh yeah, but the forecast is often wrong, I'm sure it'll be fine, do you? Okay, so over optimism. I am really interested to hear what you think about this. Pessimists are unrealistic. Optimists are realistic with a tendency to really lean on the positive about things, and they're prepared to take a risk that's involved with that. Yeah, I'll say it again, shall I? Pessimist, you're still miserable. Okay, talk soon.